Yes, hello everybody. How you doing? All right, welcome. We are live here on Twitch and NFTV Extra. So, England video, yes, over on NFTV Extra. Because it's not the official squad, this is the provisional squad, which we're going to take a look at all the players who've made it, but also discuss who hasn't made it as well. There's also an inclusion for Newcastle United coach, which I'm sure you have all seen on the news. But welcome to the latest video here on NFTV Extra. The only ever time we'll allow red and white on any of our videos because of England. Please like the video here on Extra. And if you're watching on Twitch, that'll be fantastic. So far, YouTube members have had 13 exclusive videos so far in May over on the main channel. Have a look at that and keep your comments coming because we'll be reading some of them out as I go along. And as ever, thank you for watching. Hey, right. So let's get straight to it. Let's get to some two news, shall we? Have a look at this. This was a little bit left field, wasn't it? Would not surprising to say no Newcastle players in the England squad. That doesn't surprise none of us. However, Gareth Southgate has announced that Graeme Jones, the lad from Gateshead, has got himself a coaching role with the England squad, which is great for him, great for his development. Southgate went on to say, we are pleased to bring Graeme Jones in, who is obviously working with Newcastle at the moment. He has got some fantastic experiences of working with Roberto Martinez as an assistant manager. We've really got a strong coaching team, and we're really looking forward to the challenge. So that was what Southgate said about it. Ooh, we've just had a comment come through as well. Hello, Lee. How long will the stream be? A day? Unknown. Possibly half an hour, maybe longer. But stay tuned. Keep your comments coming. But yeah, fantastic to see Graeme Jones. And obviously he's had a massive effect on Newcastle, the way we've been playing a lot more attacking football. And the results have shown it's not all down to Graeme Jones. I must stress, Steve Bruce, you've got to give some sort of credit to him for the back end of the season. But there's no doubt that Jones has influenced the squad heavily. 100% it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a screen share facility. We're going to hear from Gareth Southgate a couple of times as well. And we'll also have a look at the players who have made the list and who hasn't either. And as you can see, Gareth Southgate, this was more about players who are injured and playing in Europa League and Champions League finals.
Really, I think our situation is more complicated than any other country at the moment. We've known for a little while that we've got, of this 33, 12 players still to play in the European finals this week. So we were always going to need some additional players for the first part of our camp. Adding to that, we've got some injuries that are at various stages. A couple we have very little information about at the moment, and a couple who are back into training or back into matches in Jordan and Jack Grealish, but still not in training consistently, not training with the team in Jordan's case. So we felt that more time is going to help us to make better decisions. And I've always said my preference would be to name the squad as a clean 26. We were able to do that ahead of Russia. We had standby players that knew their role, and I think that's always a preferable situation. But we've not got an ideal hand of cards this time, and there are a lot of unknowns, and I think information and evidence is really important when you're making decisions, and we'll have a lot more in the next 7 days, and we'll be able to make the best possible decisions that we can.
So that was Southgate basically talking about if the players who are away on Europa League and Champions League finals, because there could be some injuries picked up, hence why he's named a bigger provisional side. I know Harry Maguire is struggling a little bit. Of course, we're seeing the opportunity for Ben White and Ben Godfrey. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen this on this, but here he is talking about it.
Well, again, the private conversations I've had with players, I'm not going to go into too much, but I think they're both exciting young defenders. There are others that we've also been looking at who we really like. Ezri Konsa has had a good season at Aston Villa. Fikayo's done well at Milan. So these two are very flexible. They can play in different roles as well. They can play left, right, midfield in Ben White's case. And this is a great opportunity for us to get to know them a bit better, for them to work with the team. I think it's works for everybody. So there's no way of knowing how long they'll be with us at this stage, but it should be a fantastic experience for all of them.
So that was Southgate on the two new lads which have been just called up. Let's because we've got a few comments that came in.
Private conversations.
We'll mute you, Gareth. We've had enough of you so far. We'll come back to Southgate in a second, but let's have a look at what you're saying in the comments as well. We've got some Twitch comments coming through from Geordie1723. You'll play two defensive players where we have so much talent up front. He loves that, doesn't he? Great news for Graham Jones. Yeah, totally agree, JB. Totally agree. Jules went on to say, I think Bruce will walk now after learning the budget for the summer is 8 million. Yeah, there's some rumours going about, and there's obviously we've seen that Joe Willock has obviously put a little bit of emotional Instagram post that he might not be coming back. So yeah, we'll see. But this is England. Let's not talk negativity. Unless we get put out on penalties, then we can talk negativity. But this is just about the squad. Geordie's going on to say centre-backs are England's weakest part of the team. I agree on that. I totally agree. And Southgate, like Bruce, being the defender, will set up defensive. And it's Geordie Sancaster, by the way, over on Twitch. What you doing now with there? What you doing now with the dark side, man? But yeah, please keep your comments coming in. Right, we'll scroll up to a couple of other bits and bobs. Obviously, this is about Nick Pope, who has been ruled out of the Euros because of injury.
You know, it's heartbreaking to get an injury so close to a major tournament. He's been a fantastic member of our squad. Totally unselfish guy. In Russia, he spent hour after hour throwing himself around at penalties, which was as important in our success in the penalty shootout as the guys that took it, frankly, because him and Jack Butland were phenomenal in those situations. So, yeah, I'm really disappointed for him. It obviously opens up opportunities for others. And, you know, Sam and Aaron have finished the season well with their clubs. So Dean is of course, in that battle for the number one spot at Manchester United at the moment. So, and I've got to say, Jordan has finished the season really strongly. I think since he's come back from his injury, his focus, his calmness in the goal has really stood out. So I'm very pleased with his form.
So that was Southgate on some of the new lads being called up to the squad as well. Obviously, it's a big summer. England have already sold out their tickets at Middlesbrough, but this is the squad, everybody. You might need to squint your eyes if you cannot see that. I'll make that big screen so you can see that a bit better. There you go. That's much better, isn't it? Before we actually go through the squad, we'll just go back to a couple of comments. Geordie Sankansas just saying a bit of a change, mate. Pope is the best keeper, says GB. Yeah, injured now, great. Mason Ford goes on, hopefully he'll give Dean Henderson the chance instead of Little Arms. I would agree on that. I'd prefer a Henderson over Pickford. But that is your squad. Let's go through it. And we'll try and dissect it a little bit. So he's picked 4 goalkeepers, so that'll be trimmed to 3. So we can all say that it's going to be Pickford and Henderson who will go. And then he's going to pick between Johnson and Ramsdale. For me, I feel the goalkeeping, although Johnson's had a good season, I think the goalkeeping is a little bit of a weak area for England. Look, I think Henderson's all right. I think Pickford's all right. Don't get me wrong, but they're not like talented world class, are they? But I think that's a slight negative towards the goalkeepers. Of course, Carl Darlow's not in there, which we'll take a look at that list who didn't make it. But Johnson, Ramsdale will seize the opportunity to get 3rd place because of Nick Pope not being about and injured. So don't really rate Ramsdale personally. I don't think he's a great goalkeeper. Johnson's been right up there all season for the most saves, so he's had a good season. So if push comes to shove, I'll take Johnson over Ramsdale. We're actually doing our own England video next week when me, Sam, Johnny, Adam, Liam all meet up. And then this is interesting because England have got 4 right backs. Wan-Bissaka, who's fantastically 1-on-1, doesn't he make it? But I think he'll pick 3 from 4. Remember, you can trim it down to 26 this year for the Euros because of obviously the pandemic and what have you. But Trent Alexander-Arnold, A lot of calls for him to be in that side. For me, he makes it for me. Ben Chilwell, Connor Cody, Ben Godfrey, who's had a good season at Everton. He gets in. I was a bit worried Michael Keane might get in there, but thankfully he hasn't. Reece James, another one vying for that right back position. Harry Maguire, who's a little bit injured at the minute, but I think he'll be okay for the tournament. Tyrone Mings, I'm a little bit worried about. I think for me, there's too many errors in that lad. Too many errors. Luke Shaw, I think that's healthy competition. Sean Ben Chilwell, I think that's good competition for England there. John Stones, so I feel John Stones will partner Harry Maguire. I think that's your back two. The squad depth isn't great. You'd probably pick Connor Cody, maybe if push comes to shove, if you're playing three at the back, but we all know Southgate likes to play and mix it around with Kyle Walker. Kieran Trippier, who's just won the league in La Liga for Atletico. Kyle Walker, I've just touched upon him, and Ben White. So I could see Kyle Walker going not as a right back, but as a centre back. I could see that. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold, for me, has to go. And I would probably pick Reece James because he's so strong and great getting forward over Kieran Trippier. Yes, Kieran Trippier can play at left back and fill in. But for me, that's the one where I would drop out. Let us know what you lot think as well. Let's come to your comments, actually. Let's just move the structures around. What is I saying? JB's went on to say, I think he'll pick Johnson ahead of Ramsdale. Interesting. I think the same as well. I really do. Let's go back. We've got another one from Jordi Sancaster on over and Twitch. Has gone out to say, I think he'll take the four right backs because TAA can play midfield, as in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Mings, never England class. Even Joe Litton had him in his back pocket. Yeah, that's the worry about me, about Tyrone Mings. If you're going to take him, make him your last resort. Yeah, that's it for me. But we'll make that full screen once again. We'll just go through the midfield. Jude Bellingham, fantastic season with Borussia Dortmund. Jordan Henderson, who's just come back from injury, who was on the bench for the last game of the season for Liverpool. He'll go, even though he's barely played any football the last 3 or 4 months. Jesse Lingard has had a sensational end of the season, proved me wrong. I didn't want him at Newcastle in January, making me eat my words. Mason Mount has had a great season. Calvin Phillips, he went off injured with a stupid tackle, lunging in last minute for Leeds. Doubt about him. If he's fit, I think he'll be back up to Declan Rice in that holding role. I think Henderson can play a little bit further forward if needed. But Henderson will always play. Henderson and Rice, you would probably think. James Ward-Prowse is an interesting one. Yes, he's good at free kicks, but I haven't seen enough of him to create enough for me. You can have Trent Alexander-Arnold over free kicks. So there's one for you. And then the forward line, you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think he will go a backup to Harry Kane. I think that's pretty obvious. I think Phil Foden will go as well, just behind the strikers. I think he will go. He's had a great season at Manchester City. Jack Grealish, who came back from injury recently. That's an interesting one because obviously Maddison hasn't made it. Grealish might make it just because it's a 26-man squad. Mason Greenwood's in there, clinical finisher. Slow start at Man United this season, but he's gradually got further on and his season's got better. Harry Kane, captain, yeah, we all know he might not even be a Spurs player at the end of the summer. Rashford will go. That gives Southgate options left, right. Bukayo Saka, who's a Toon fan, grew up as a Toon fan as a boy because of his dad. He's versatile because he can play in a forward position out wide. He can play out on the right if needs be. He can fill in at left back. It's cover. That's a good shout for Southgate if you wanted to look at that. It's interesting. Sancho, I think Sancho might miss out. He's the one for me. If it's between Sancho and Grealish, I'm taking Grealish. I know Sancho, every season, double figures, goals and assists for Dortmund. His link up with Haaland's brilliant, but I'll probably just pick Grealish if it was between those two. Raheem Sterling, we'll know he'll go. And Ollie Watkins is a doubt whether he goes because if you're taking Kane and Calvert-Lewin, I mean, you might get in, depending. It's between Greenwood and Watkins for me for the last strikers position. So, let's see what you lot are saying about that as well. Let's bring me back in. I'm surprised Smith Rowe hasn't been in the squad, says Mason. It's a good shout. That's a good outside shout for that. And Geordie's went on to say Foden. I can't even speak. Foden, Sancho, Kane, Mount just behind. Can he line up? That is. Interesting. Right. So we will stop the screen share. I'll go back full screen. Hello. Do you like my new Shearer top? Shearer! Got this from 3 Retro. There's a link in the description if you want to have a look at all the England tops. I've got the Euro 96 one as well. Got Shearer on the back too. Quality. You'll probably be seeing me not wash and wear this constantly over the Euros, the 2 tops. And Paul's went on to say, I think overall it's a decent squad. Surprised no Dyer or Ings. I'm actually pleased Dyer didn't make it. I think he's awful. I hope Maguire and our Calvin Phillips is fit. Obviously, Paul being a Leeds fan. Pope in our defence worries me. I'll take both Sancho and Grealish attacking options. Drop Watkins. So would you just take the 2 out-and-out strikers, Kane and Calvert-Lewin? Because Rashford's not really an out-and-out striker, is he? And Geordie's went on to say there, Bellingham, great prospect after the Champions League game. Manchester City, yeah, good. He might scrape in. I think he might miss out, though. We'll see. We'll discuss it next week when we'll all meet up. But there's been a few players who have who've missed it, who've missed out, and have actually missed off on this list. Southgate talked about him just before. Fikayo Tomori, who's had a great season at Milan, so he's not on this list, but you can add him to this list, and this is on my personal Twitter, so if you want to give us a follow, please do. Lee at NFTV. These are all the players who are missing, not even making the shortcut. Patrick Bamford, I think, should have been at least looked at. 17 goals in the Premier League. He's had a sensational season. At least look at him and see if he's improved. Danny Ings probably feels a little bit hard done by. I think he's had 13, 14 goals in the league and he's been injured. You know, if you need a goal off the bench, something different, maybe someone to stretch the defence rather than Calvert-Lewin, who's strong. Nick Pope, we know, is injured. I put Joe Willock in there because his form towards the end of the season has been sensational. Absolutely sensational. 8 goals since he's arrived, 7 and 7 in a row. Scored more goals than, there's a list going around on Twitter, like from De Bruyne to Mason Mount. There's tons. It's circulating on Twitter. Callum Wilson's probably another one who's a bit like Bamford. Should have been at least looked at, given a tryout, but no. Probably for Wilson, what's not helping him, he's picked up 2 injuries this season. I think if Southgate picked Wilson or Bamford, I think he still would go with Wilson for the experience. But those 2 lads probably feel a little bit hard done by. Eric Dyer, I totally agree with. I think he's awful. I think he's gone backwards. Dele Alli, I totally agree with as well. No questions about that. James Maddison probably feels himself a little bit hard done by, but I prefer Grealish over Maddison for me. Grealish is a runner, and he'll run at you. Maddison's more of a dictator. I want people running at defenders, scare them. Callum Hudson-Odoi, I totally agree as well. Barely seen any football this season. Seen him at right wing back in a couple of games. Madness. Tammy Abraham, who I don't rate. Even if he comes to Newcastle, yes, I'll take him because he's better than Joe Linton. But is he England striker quality? Nah, not for me. I feel a little bit hard done by Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I touched upon this a little bit earlier on because England are so good at right back. Maybe he should just stop playing centre back because he's strong. He's great one-on-one. Poor, and this is the best quartet of England right backs that I've ever seen since following England since 1996. But Carl Darlow is another one. He probably doesn't make the provisional because he's lost his place to Martin Dubravka. I think that's all that's down. I think Darlow, if he kept his place and kept playing week in, week out, could have made that provisional side. But is there any other names that you can think of that have missed out? Any notable outsiders? Because Smith Rowe was a good shout. But let's have a look at your comments before we start wrapping up. Paul goes on to say, for some reason, Southgate doesn't like Bamford. Good for us. Let him rest. Greenwood is our goal off the bench. Calvert-Lewin is our lump it up option. I thought Dyer was a Southgate boy. He was. I'm delighted that he hasn't made it. I'm not going to lie, Paul. I'm glad he's out, frankly, being poor, and he's been playing at centre-back, and there's too many errors as well. Evening, Thomas, to you. I think you've missed the party, so if you want to go and rewind, because we are finishing up now, and it's not the first and last video here with the Euros. Obviously, as news starts to die down, the focus will switch to the Euros. Everybody will be talking about it, media coverage, people on social media. On this channel, we'll be doing a few watch-alongs, obviously with Brandon having 8 nationalities. I'm sure he'll do some videos as well, the big games as well. And over on the main channel, we'll be covering England. as well as tune videos. We do have some announcements to make, some exciting ones. Ooh. On the main channel. Members will be finding out very, very shortly in the next 48 hours before everybody else. Oh, there's one last comment. Pickford worries me. Small and prone to clanger, says Paul. Totally agree. Totally agree. Save me. Right, that is it. Please smash that like button. Help us out. However, we're trying to grow this channel. We're trying to get a 2K. Smash it. How are them, lads? Right. See you later, everyone. Watch what is a day.